So there is this big question going around the internet if Baldur's Gate 3 will release on consoles, and especially the PS5 and Xbox Series X. And I think it will, but it will most likely take a while after the PC release. But why exactly? Well, let's start first with the example of the Divinity Original Sin games. Divinity Original Sin 1 launched in June 2014 on PC only. It was a massive success and it received a lot of feedback. And most of the feedback and other improvements were introduced into the Enhanced Edition, which released on the PS4 and Xbox One in October 2015. The other example is of course Divinity Original Sin 2. This game also only first launched on PC in September 2017. And later it almost received the same treatment, and a definitive edition for consoles was released in August 2018. And of course the Enhanced and Definitive Edition for these games also made their way on PC as a free upgrade for current owners. So what can we learn from this? Does this mean that Baldur's Gate 3 will release on consoles 1 year later? Well, maybe. Larian Studios already told Eurogamer in an interview back in February 2020 that it won't come to PS4 and Xbox One, since they don't believe those systems will be able to run it. And I think they are right. Baldur's Gate 3 does require a decent build if you want to play it smoothly on high settings. But they didn't rule out this generation of consoles, the PS5 and Xbox Series X. So if you ask me, I really think Baldur's Gate 3 will come to consoles within 2 years after the PC release. The Divinity Original Sin series did really well on consoles, and although it's much work to port a game to consoles, these games already had split screen co-op and controller integration on PC. And we also will see that for the final release for Baldur's Gate 3. Because they again want drop-in drop-out local co-op with controller support. And I mean, it's basically a given at this point. Porting it to consoles just like their other games will result in a lot of sales, and I think the PS5 and Xbox Series X hardware are good enough to play Baldur's Gate 3 at high settings. It will definitely take some time to get it right, but I believe Larian Studios will manage. But they probably want to improve the game first, implement a lot of new player feedback and adjust the game where tweaking is needed. But what can we expect from an enhanced or definitive edition of Baldur's Gate 3 once it comes to consoles? If it releases, I think quite a lot. Let's only take Divinity Original Sin 2 as an example here. The original game had over 1 million words in its script, and over 150,000 were rewritten and re-recorded. Also, Larian Studios weren't quite happy with the 2 last arcs of the game, so they revamped them quite a lot. And some campaigns and their story were changed, especially the one from Beast. Other changes were changed areas, UI changes, bug fixes, rebalancing and more. But let's not get way ahead of ourselves. The game is still in early access for PC and it will need to release there first. And I already covered a video where I speculated about the release date, so if you wish to see that, go ahead and watch it after this one. The other subject I want to discuss is also a question that people ask a lot. And that is if Baldur's Gate 3 will receive DLCs and expansions. And I think it's a really interesting question, because again, if we compare it to Divinity Original Sin games, the first answer will be yes and no. The first Original Sin didn't receive any of them, but Original Sin 2 did receive 3 DLC packages called givebacks. Those were optional mods that you could add to your playthrough, new hairstyle and looks, as well as new armor sets with quests and enemies themed around them. And of course there was this free Squirrel DLC early adopters received, which became a small paid DLC later on. But both games didn't receive any big expansions, like story expansions with new classes for example. But interesting enough, I think this can change for Baldur's Gate 3. Larian Studios will first implement all the player's handbook subclasses in the game, but maybe it could receive subclasses from Xenothar's Guide or Tasha's Squadron as DLC. Or what about an additional storyline with new and higher levels to explore? I definitely will be interested in either of these options. But again, I just want Larian Studios to first only focus on the base game and make that as good as it can be. But once the game releases, I would love to see new content for it later. But I wouldn't mind as well if they decided not to do that and to focus on their next project instead. Once they finish up Baldur's Gate 3, they have a great D&D-like engine and system that they could expand upon. But maybe the players could do it instead. There was a Dungeon Master mode for DOS 2, and in a Reddit AMA someone asked if it will come to Baldur's Gate 3 as well. They answered it will make a lot of sense to implement it since it's a D&D game after all. But then they said they want to focus first on the game itself for the time being. I mean, Baldur's Gate 3 is such a massive project, so I understand they want to finish it first. And the GM mode wasn't that popular in DOS 2 anyway, so I am not sure what they will do with it in the end. But as far as the whole DLC and expansion question goes, I think Baldur's Gate 3 will at least receive the same treatment as DOS 2 with small free DLCs coming to the game. For example, new customization options, armor sets as well as optional improvements. It's a very nice way to keep the game relevant and fresh. And of course, it's a very consumer friendly move to include free DLC these days. And now the big question is, what do you guys want to see? Do you think Baldur's Gate 3 will come to consoles later as well? And do you hope DLCs and expansions are coming to Baldur's Gate 3 after release? Or do you wish for them to focus on future projects instead? Please let us know what you want in the comments down below. You can also join our new Discord server to hang out with other people from the community and of course to talk about Baldur's Gate 3. You can find the link to my Twitter and the Discord server in the description down below. Thank you all again for watching. Please subscribe if you want to see more Baldur's Gate 3 in the future. And as always, I will see you guys next time.